Welcome to Guitar Science. So, in front of me, I have an almost no-name guitar. It's an Ibanez Gio, made in China. It's cheap as hell, but it actually plays pretty well when it's set up right. And I've had this guitar for a few years. I just bought it by walking around, I think it was a Sam Ash, and I just played every guitar that was cheap, and this one I instantly liked, so I bought it because it was 140 bucks. And the only problem is I've taken the pickups out, I've replaced them with more expensive pickups, and I've done that so many times that I don't think I have the original pickups to this guitar. I took them apart to see how they worked, and so now this guitar, well, it has no pickups, and it's a shame because it actually plays great. So we're going to take this no-name guitar and these quite literally no-name pickups, and we're going to see if we can put together something that sounds good. Now, I'm not just going to throw these in here and wire it up as normal because I happen to know that these pickups are kind of they were a little muddy. If they're what I think they are, they were a little muddy in the Squire that they came in. So we're going to try something a little out of the box here. I've done this on another guitar and I really like the way it turned out. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to get rid of the switch and get rid of the tone knob. So it's just going to be volume of neck, volume of bridge, and that'll be it. And you can, turn them up and down as you please. So that's what's going to go on here. And I'm thinking I may also switch these pots out because they are old. And as you can see, well, this is where I learned to solder. So it's not exactly, speaks for itself. I don't need to say anything more about that. So that's the name of the game here. We're going to see if we can make this sound good by wiring up these humbuckers, basically with no tone knob whatsoever and no switch, just straight up volume out. So we'll see how that goes. That's the original plastic, years old. You can never get all this stuff off. It's always such a pain to get all the plastic off. And there it was, under the switch, under the knob for all these years. Ridiculous. Yeah, this is a bit of a mess here. I'm just gonna cut this stuff because we're not using these pots anyway. I have no idea why this is wound so many times around the output jack. This is kind of, frankly, a little ridiculous, but we'll get to the bottom of this sooner or later. It's also sticky, which it's not great. I don't like that. That makes me a little uneasy, but whatever. It's not old enough to be like PCBs or anything like that, so probably not too dangerous. Probably just some gross China factory grease, which, isn't great, but there are worse things, I suppose. I was gonna say we should keep track of the switch here, to remember where everything is, but, well, we're not using a switch, so screw that. I don't care about this stuff. It can go away. And quite frankly, this switch has been horribly mangled by me in my experiments to learn how to switch pickups and solder. This was the test guitar. This is where I first tried my hand at soldering. This is where I've swapped several sets of pickups, etc. And well, now I sort of know what I'm doing, and yeah, we're gonna see how that works. I think I'll leave the switch in here just for aesthetics, just because I think it would look weird with just that blade with nothing there. So, we'll just have the switch there, and it doesn't do anything. Or not. You know what? No, I just changed my mind. We're gonna remove the switch. Screw that. You're dead to me, switch. You're dead to me. So I guess the first thing to do is to mount pickups, which I think I have my handy dandy little kit for every kind of screw-in thing you could need. I bought this on Amazon for $5. I highly recommend this. This has bailed me out so many times when I was like, oh my God, I don't have the little spring or the little screw that does X, Y, or Z. Yeah, this, what a godsend. I think I am almost in need of another one of these, but man, what a good $5 purchase. So it's got a whole bunch of different kind of pickup screws, which is probably going to come in handy right now as we try to see which one will fit through here. Perfect. Okay, so I do in fact have the correct screws thanks to this little bin full of screws. Man, this thing, God, what a godsend. Let's see, do I have, looks like I've used all the springs. Okay, journey to find pickup springs. I'm sure I have at least 4 pickup springs, probably within 5 feet of where I'm sitting, but we gotta go find them. Okay, so it seems I do have the pickup springs. Now, of course, I have 2 normal length humbucker pickup springs that I've somehow managed to tangle together here. But anyway, I have 2 normal length ones, like this. And then I have 3 of the I hate my life length ones, which, well, I mean, yeah. That sucks. They're gonna go flying across the room when I try to put them in there. So since I have 3 of these, not enough for 2 sets of pickups, but 1 more than I need for 1 set of pickup, I'm actually gonna try and see if I can cut them and maybe have a normal length spring that won't make me hate myself when I try to put them in the guitar. So we're gonna see if we can cut it right there, and maybe this will actually work. Okay, I do believe that worked. This is now probably very sharp. I'm probably going to slice my hand open on it, but you know, cool, it worked. Now we just need to cut the other one to the same length. Cool, now we have less annoying springs to work with. Might actually be able to mount these in one go instead of having the springs fly across the room for 10 minutes. So, easy life hack. Chop the springs with wire cutters. Hate your life less. I am gonna see what the output is on both of these pickups, just so that I can put the lower output one in the neck and the higher output one in the bridge. Does that really matter? No, and they'll probably be almost exactly the same, but we're gonna test them anyway. So, and just because I'm OCD, the black has to go with the black and the red has to go with the red. Okay, 12.58. So that would be what we would call a high output pickup. Yeah. Okay. So my guess is that there is no high-end content in this because, wow, that's, yeah. For reference here, you know, Gibsons and things like that, I mean, they're usually not higher than 9. Okay, 12.72. Be honest with you, I don't like high output pickups. My own experiments with single coils have shown that when I make them lower output, they sound better. So, you know, hot pickups, as everybody says, not really my thing. I'm not saying that they're not as good. I'm just saying that personally, it's not for me. Oof. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care about the finish of this guitar, so I'm not exactly being cautious here. I'm doing this on top of the guitar. There's no reason to be doing this on top of the guitar. This is not good guitar tech strategy, but look, maybe you can see it. I intentionally sanded this to try and make it a more matte finish instead of being gloss, and it's got some chunks and stuff missing out of it. It's purposely beat up, and it's also accidentally beat up. And yeah, I don't really care if there's more nicks and stuff in it. In fact, it's kind of a good thing. It kind of fits the aesthetic of this being, you know, a beater guitar, as the guy at Sam Ash said when I told him what I was looking for. I said, I'm looking for a cheap guitar that's gonna sit here, not in a case, that I can just pick up and start playing in 10 seconds instead of having to walk over and grab a case and all that stuff. And he was like, oh, so you want a beater guitar? And I was like, exactly, that's what I want. So this is the beater guitar, this is the test guitar, this is whatever you want. So now we need some pots. So I believe what was in here, you can't really see anymore because I've screwed them up so much, but they are in fact 500K pots. They are the import spec kind. So we're gonna try and replace them with the same thing, but you know, with much less failed solder attempts. And quite frankly, I've probably impeded the use of these things by getting them so hot from having no idea what I was doing. So it's probably good that I'm replacing them, even aesthetics aside, maybe functionally at this point. So we're gonna swap them out for the same thing. Okay, so apparently I don't have any new unused pots. But I do have these, which were from a previous wiring attempt. You know, it's not the best soldering job, but it's representative. It looks okay. But we're going to tear it apart because these are still in better condition than the pots we were using before. And in fact, I think these should still be, yeah, they're still 500K, so that should be fine. Let's make sure they fit through before I tear this stuff apart. They fit through fine. So I'm just going to cut the capacitor off of here because, well, where we're going, we don't need any capacitors. We don't need any capacitors. We don't need any additional capacitance in this circuit. We're just going straight humbucker volume. That'll give us all the tone we need. Okay, are these too far apart? Yep. Well, maybe not. Can we do it? Will it go? Oh, it's so close. Yes. Okay, sweet. That's gonna save 15 seconds of soldering right there. Awesome, amazing, fantastic. Okay, now I just have to think about how I want to wire these. All right, so obviously this will be volume 1, this will be volume 2. Okay, so here is the actual circuit for the guitar. We're going to talk through this. I would have shown you me building it, but actually, see this pod right here? Yeah, this thing? Yeah, pain in the butt. Completely dead. So I actually had to check everything and rewire it a second time, and by that point I really didn't feel like recording it. I just wanted to be done. Felt like I was starting to inhale probably a little too much lead vapor, so I just wanted to get it done real quick. All right, always have your area be well ventilated when you are soldering. Lead vapors are not good for you. So, no switch, no tone pots, which means no capacitors. A minimum of circuit elements to have 2 functional pickups and still choose between them. So it has all the functionality of a 2 pickup guitar with a switch, right? You can have just neck, you can have just bridge, you can have neck and bridge, but it actually has the added functionality that you can basically blend in as much of either pickup as you want. You'll see that later when I test them. Sometimes I use mostly neck, but I blend in a little bit of bridge, or vice versa. And it gives you, a nice variety of sonic options, which I think is pretty cool. So here's how this one works. Neck pickup comes into the neck volume. It's grounded here, comes into the middle lug. Ground this one off. The rightmost lug is going to go out to the bridge volume, but it's going to connect here to the output of this pot, and then that's going to go to your output jack. The bridge pickup is wired the same way, comes into the middle lug, grounded out in the back, and then the output, right, gets you from here to here to here, so you have both. And then everything is grounded exactly as you think. Output jack to pot, to bridge ground, pickup ground, together. Each one of these is grounded. There you go. Pretty basic circuit. Doesn't take too long to talk through it. So I did try this once before. I'll put a card up in the corner. With my Les Paul, I basically used the same circuit. A couple things were pointed out to me. First of all, this is still a parallel circuit, right? Because you can turn one of these off and still have the other. So they're not wired in series. You could try to wire them in series. I have a feeling that would change the way they sound. Could be an interesting modification to do, but utility-wise, there's not much point. But we didn't use 1 million ohm pots, which would give you the most high-end content preserved. So that could be a potential mod. If you really wanted to do this and not lose anything, you could try this with 1 million ohm pots like they use in bass guitars. So that's something to think about for the future. We used 500K pots, which are kind of standard for humbuckers. And the goal with this, with the fewer circuit elements, is twofold. One, I'm hoping that there's less loss of high-end content. So these, as I showed you in the earlier part of the video, these are super high output pickups, which tend to sound pretty muddy in my opinion. Very high output humbuckers, in my opinion, usually have a muddy kind of sound, especially from the neck humbucker. So that's something we're hoping to remedy with the fewer circuit elements. We're hoping there's more high-end content in the signal. Sort of makes sense that that would be the case, but it's far from a guarantee. There's a lot of variables here. Number two, I'm hoping to have less 60 cycle hum because there simply is a lot less wiring and circuitry in here to serve as an antenna. So I'm hoping that that will be the case. So that's enough talking about the guts. Now I'll show you what it sounds like. Okay, so feel free to draw your own conclusions about the sound test. I know I didn't do a before demo, but quite frankly, the before demo would be silence because I didn't play this guitar. I hated the way it sounded in previous iterations. So I think this little wiring mod made a lot of difference. It really helps bring the guitar to life in a way that it never had before. I think there's definitely got a little of that high-end sparkle. Really, it's a lot more clear. And I think it has more dynamic range as well. You can kind of tell when you're soft picking or when you're really digging in, and it didn't sound like that before. I also think, especially on the clean sounds, there was a marked difference between blending in the different pickups to certain amounts, and I think that kind of gives it a little more range even than using a standard tone knob setup. So all in, this is about a $155 guitar at this point, and I think it holds its own against, a lot more expensive guitars that I own and have played, and I'm pretty happy with that. Until next time, this has been Guitar Science. Thanks for watching.